what to eat every day to lose weight. Today, I want to walk you through a complete 7-day muscle gain strategy built on clean eating, intelligent training, and simple structure. No fluff, no gimmicks, just real food, consistent effort, and a plan that works. Let's begin with the why behind this. The goal is simple. We're here to build lean, functional muscle, not just size for the sake of it. We want strength you can feel, definition you can see, and energy that doesn't crash at 3 p.m. So to do this, we combine whole foods, targeted macronutrients, and purposeful training. Let's start with the food, the fuel. Here's the good news. You don't need dozens of ingredients. You only need the right ones. This plan is based on eggs, salmon, chicken, cottage cheese, Greek yogurt, kale, broccoli, spinach, avocado, quinoa, nuts, cocoa, lentils, berries, oats, green tea, and olive oil. That's it. Simple, powerful, and clean. We're keeping the structure easy. 3 solid meals per day, 1 high-protein snack, and spacing them every 4 to 5 hours. Each day, follow these 5 nutrition principles. Eat protein in every meal. It's your muscle builder. Include healthy fats like avocado and olive oil. They balance your hormones. Load up on vegetables for fiber, micronutrients, and fullness. Prioritize slow-digesting carbs, quinoa, oats, lentils. And drink plenty of water, plus green tea for antioxidant support. And now the numbers. Your macros. Protein, 130 to 160 grams per day. Carbohydrates, 180 to 220 grams per day. Fats, 70 to 90 grams per day. Calories, somewhere between 2,800 to 3,200 per day. Now remember, we're not obsessing over numbers. We're focusing on quality, consistency, and real food. Let's take a look at how this looks day by day. Breakfast is going to be based around 4 eggs. That's about 240 calories, 6 grams of carbs, 20 grams of fat, and 18 grams of protein. The reason why this works so well for a breakfast is because it's high in protein and low in carbs. And that's going to keep you full while keeping your blood sugar stable. And we want to make sure our blood sugar stays stable all day long, because that leads to more energy and less cravings. And with those 4 eggs, I'm also going to throw in a green smoothie. So in a blender, throw a handful of spinach, maybe half of a green apple, 1 whole kale leaf, 16 ounces of water. This will come out to about 80 calories, 17 grams of carbs, 3 grams of fiber, giving you an effective carb number of 14, 5 grams of fat, and 4 grams of protein. So that brings our total up to 320 calories, 21 grams of carbs, 23 grams of fat, and 22 grams of protein. That's a great way to start off the day. You're gonna be full, you're gonna have energy, and you're gonna be ready to crush your workouts. Lunch is based around a 4-ounce serving of salmon. This comes out to 200 calories, 0 grams of carbs, 13 grams of fat, and 22 grams of protein. On the side, we're going to have a small portion of cooked quinoa. I'll use about 1 to 2 cups. This comes out to 110 calories, 21 grams of carbs, 4 grams of fiber, giving us an effective carb number of 17, 3 grams of fat, and 4 grams of protein. We're also going to add in a large portion of lettuce, 1 large tomato, 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil, 1 near 4 cups of mixed nuts, and we're going to toss it all together in a salad. This salad is going to come out to 450 calories, 39 grams of carbs, 20 grams of fat, and 23 grams of protein. So now we're looking at 560 calories, 50 grams of carbs, 36 grams of fat, and 46 grams of protein. A quick snack in between meals could be something like cottage cheese. And I would recommend getting the lowest calorie cottage cheese you can find. Maybe you get a 12-ounce bag. That's going to come out to about 140 calories, 6 grams of carbs, 1 gram of fiber, giving us an effective carb number of 5, 13 grams of fat, and 21 grams of protein. I'm also going to add in a handful of berries. This is about 40 calories, 10 grams of carbs, 4 grams of fiber, giving us an effective carb number of 6, 1 gram of fat, and 1 gram of protein. Lastly, I'm going to add in a handful of almonds. This is about 80 calories, 6 grams of carbs, 3 grams of fat, and 6 grams of protein. That brings the total to 260 calories, 16 grams of carbs, 17 grams of fat, and 28 grams of protein. And if you wanted to add a little bit of honey in there for flavor, let's say 1 teaspoon, that's 20 calories, 0 grams of carbs, 0 grams of fat, and 0 grams of protein. And then, if you wanted to grab a cup of green tea, that's 2 calories, 0 grams of carbs, 0 grams of fat, and 0 grams of protein. So now we're looking at 282 calories, 16 grams of carbs, 17 grams of fat, and 28 grams of protein. Dinner is based around a 4-ounce serving of chicken breast. That's going to come out to 165 calories, 0 grams of carbs, 4 grams of fat, and 30 grams of protein. To that, I'm going to add in half of an avocado, which is about 85 calories, 3 grams of carbs, 1 gram of fiber, giving us an effective carb number of 15 grams of fat, and 5 grams of protein. Then I'm also going to add in 1 cup of broccoli. That's going to come out to 55 calories, 11 grams of carbs, 4 grams of fiber, giving us an effective carb number of 3 grams of fat, and 3 grams of protein. Now that brings us to 255 calories, 16 grams of carbs, 22 grams of fat, and 38 grams of protein. And if you wanted to end the day with a nice relaxing chamomile infusion, that's going to be 0 calories, 0 grams of carbs, 0 grams of fat, and 0 grams of protein. And if you're working out, I do recommend having a protein shake. And I recommend having it after your workout. If you don't like the taste of milk, or if you're lactose intolerant, you can always go with a plant-based protein powder. But either way, I recommend mixing it with water because if you mix it with anything else, you're going to add additional calories and we don't want that. Here's a basic workout routine that you can follow along with. But remember, this is just a sample routine. You should adjust your routine based on your own fitness level. If you're new to exercise, you may want to start with fewer sets and reps. And as you get stronger, you can increase the weight load and decrease rest time. Make sure to listen to your body and take rest days when needed. All right, let's jump into the workout. First, we're going to focus on the pushing muscles in the front of the body, things like the bench press, shoulder press, dips. So here, we're going to start with 3 sets of 10 to 15 reps of bench press. We're going to try to use a weight that's challenging, but still allows us to maintain good form throughout the entire set. And then from there, we're moving into 3 sets of 10 to 15 reps of shoulder press. Again, same thing, good form, challenging weight. And then lastly, 3 sets of 8 to 12 reps of dips. Now dips are a compound movement that's going to target multiple muscles in the front of the body. It's also going to hit the triceps. In fact, it's one of the best tricep exercises that you can do. And then we're also going to throw in some core work. Core work is very important. So here we're going to do 3 sets of 15 to 20 reps of each of these 3 movements. You can do crunches, Russian twists, and leg raises. So that's going to be our first day. Day 2, we're targeting the pulling muscles, things like deadlifts, pull-ups, rows. These movements are going to target not only the muscles in the back, but they're also going to target the posture muscles. So if you work at a desk all day, these movements are especially important. So starting with deadlifts, 3 sets of 8 to 12 reps. From there, we're moving into pull-ups. Now, if you can't do pull-ups, don't worry. You can always use an assisted pull-up machine, or if you don't have access to that, you can use resistance bands. And then lastly, rows. 3 sets of 10 to 15 reps. And then, again, we're going to throw in some core work. So 3 sets of 15 to 20 reps of each of these 3 movements, crunches, Russian twists, and leg raises. On day 3, we're targeting the lower body. So we're talking about things like squats, lunges, RDLs. These are movements that everybody should be doing because they form the foundation of our body. They help us move in our day-to-day lives. So squats, 3 sets of 10 to 15 reps. Lunges, 3 sets of 10 to 15 reps. And then RDLs, 3 sets of 10 to 15 reps. Now, on your rest days, I do recommend getting some sort of movement. This could be walking, stretching, mobility work. It doesn't have to be high intensity, but it does need to be consistent. So remember, you don't have to kill yourself in the gym to see results. Just be consistent with your diet and your training, and you will see results. If you enjoyed this video, stay tuned for more content.